Alright, let's see if we can actually get this recap out here. So, if you guys remember where we last left off, it was literally in the heat of the battle where uh, Mira and I were fighting Mitsukaru, and Mira had been put down, and Mitsukaru, well, I was like kind of barefist brawling her at this point, just kind of not the end of my rope as far as like power went, but it's just like it was a rough go at it. Like I was, excuse me, ill prepared and without weapons, and at the end of a very long journey that had left me beaten and kind of like subsisting on a sensu bean diet at that point, just from like the amount of times I've gotten rocked and everything like that. And Mitsukaru is one of those scary threes. Like she's not like a fresh off the boat three. Like she's a scary three. But Ali or as High Castle had shown up, and I kind of broke with her the situation as quick as possible, and then went to try to save Rohan. The power drain on me ended up being so much that it knocked me out, and that's where I ended up waking up for this session. I woke up once, and I see Dakuan out there, and like I kind of give him a thumbs up kind of thing because I'm in one of those rejuvenation tubes, and then I wake up again, and there's this Saiyan with white hair who feels weird, and this like is kind of my introduction to the the different types of Saiyans that exist out there, specifically the dragons, the cyborgs, and the regular ones. I think are the three. No, when the mystic ones are the fourth. We already know about those. I kind of talked to her a little bit. I come to find out her name was Shiara, I think. And yeah, High Castle comes to meet me after all that. After like I basically get out of like the medical thing, and we sit down and we talk, and I learn a bit about her, and I learned that a little bit about the premier abilities, specifically the thing that Pan has means that she's from a Saiyan clan called the Hawk Clan, and this dude Alaric runs it. But Ali's sister is the Alpha Premier of the Helix, and she's not a good person. So that's something that's kind of troublesome out there. I kind of get like a feel out like, did everyone make it? Like, is everyone okay? And she reassures me that they are, because things were like pretty sketchy there at the end. But thankfully, the forces showed up. Dakuan's forces showed up, and they managed to finish out the rest of the victory, despite like me being in kind of the epicenter of it. Um, Ali explains to me that what was his name? Hikaru wanted, who was the head of the Horizon, wanted to meet with me, and she's like, if that's okay with you. And I said, yeah, yeah, like I kind of had business to finish with him. And apparently, like I had seen them at some point leaving separately, but like I think the team said like there was no love lost there or something like that. So like maybe their meeting didn't go quite as well as he hoped, but I like that. It wasn't my job to make sure the meeting went well. So I met with Hikaru briefly, and yeah, it basically sat down with him and said, "Did I fulfill my end of the bargain to you? Like you offered me some semblance of sanctuary, which as an internal thing, it is kind of sucky sanctuary, but." I gave you the coordinates of the meeting. I got you. You got your chance to meet with Ali, the second of Zuru, who apparently leads this force, and I didn't get to be in the room with it, but like, yeah, I he said, yeah, you fulfilled your end of the bargain. I was like, perfect, because I like, don't need another second of Zuru level enemy out there, looking to hunt me down and beat me up. Yeah, they managed to suppress the thing in Rohan, but not completely get rid of it. So he's still like huge and definitely more powerful than he was, but I don't think he's like second to Zuru kind of powerful right now. So that's good at least, but that's still something we got to deal with. I'm trying to remember like the order of events here. So that was like the first meeting with Allie, and then Allie says that um, she'd like to have the meeting with Pan to see what her decision is. And I said, that's fine with me. I was like, that's something, I was like, we had already kind of discussed it, but we'll see whenever you present the facts to her and everything like that, what we're going to go with. I pretty much ran like it turns out Allie and I had like a lot of similarities when it came to the way we view how Pan was dealt with and then what to do with her, specifically like leaving it up to her to a certain point. Like it's ultimately her decision. The whole idea to suppress her powers and like kind of keep that from her was a little detrimental. And I was like, yeah, I was like, we're on board. Like it was kind of like a reaffirming thing to see the two of us like almost like eerily similar trains of thought when it came to the situation. So she said, yeah, she says, I'll set up the meeting. I'll let you get yourself collected. And I was like, man, I'm going to get something to eat then. So I think it's like Saya comes in, checks up on me and everything like that. And I kind of check up on her. Kind of like, we made it, we survived, everyone's alive. That's all we could hope for. This was a lot bigger than we were all expecting, but we managed to pull through. We managed to outlast the storm that was the originators. We managed to make it to our destination. There was a lot of fights along the way, a lot of ill-prepared fights, but we managed to pull out a W at least in our little corner of things. So I was like, yeah, let's get something to eat. So we're going down, and Saya and I are talking just kind of about everything that's going on, and we get to the cafeteria. Oh, this is one of the ones where like I'm seeing like different sayings. Like I understand like the cyber ones have like a weird metal tail. There's the dragon ones that look weird. I know they have this form instead of second to Zero or second Dragana. They're kind of crazy looking. We talk a little bit about the different kind of Saiyans that are out there, because all we know is like ape type Saiyans. Like that's the only kind we know of. These other ones are kind of crazy. But it's like just kind of our little corner of the world or universe, I guess. We get to the cafeteria and I run into Mira, who is kind of like down in the dumps. And like there's this dude, I think was it Kodal? I think that was maybe him that was sitting there at the table. I come to find out who he is later, but I think that's the same guy. He's like kind of like boisterous and like talking with a group of people, and he's, ha ha ha, laughing all second to Zuru or second Dragana level kind of thing, like they tend to do. Not that they tend to do that, but like, hey, they can do whatever they want. Second to Zurus are nasty. So I go over and talk to Mira, and she's very like down and out, and like apparently like Dakuan has been like chewing her up over this, because technically this is sort of her fault, at least like some of the danger I'm in, specifically the Rohan thing was a result of the tattoos that I got to help her with her thing. Now the player might have asked for those things, but it's still Mira's fault. But yeah, it's like the target she was tracking happened to like seek me out, and that's like what unleashed that crazy thing out there. And then also the apparent, I don't know, like the whole like that whole shadow organization they're a part of is sketchy. Like they, dealing in Hellfire Beast or Infernal Beast and stuff like that. Like it's one thing to say you're going out there and capturing them, but I feel like there's like a bit more of trafficking going on and trying to harness powers and that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that gets people killed. So she's been kind of like getting it from Dakuan, and Ambrose just doesn't let her have it or anything like that. Like, kind of goes over and gives his big sister a hug and asks her how she's doing, how she's feeling in there. Oh, that was the other thing, is Opal was with me too. I ran into Opal on my way there, I think. Or no, I think she came in. Who was the order? So I feel like it was Form Up Girl first. Then I ran into Opal when we left, and then I was like, yeah, we need to get something to eat. So Opal was there, and Opal was kind of avoiding the thing with Mira for a couple reasons, because the two of us are kind of seeing each other now. And the second reason being that Opal feels very betrayed by Mira. Mira kind of towed the company line and did so in spite of her friends. At the also the risk of like having one of her friends, someone close to one of her friends, killed by not by their hand. So it's like it's a little more directly than like, oh, someone died. It's like, no, we're gonna be the one that kills them. So that was a rough spot. And Emrys was definitely lighter to Mira, whereas was Opal was definitely throwing out those daggers. And it's like, listen, we'll get through this. Whenever Dakawan has the talk with you, make sure you call me up, and I'll come there and be there with you. It's like, I can't promise I'll be 100% in your corner, but it's like, we're a family, and the three of us will get through this together. And she seemed a little relieved by that. Yeah. The reunion with opening Opal that I skipped over was very nice. Like to be able to see her there because she had helped us gotten out. I was worried about her. Just a bunch of craziness happened. But she kind of came through. But she also is kind of homeless now because she's been excommunicated from the Order, from the Crescent Moon, because of her basically betrayal of taking the Rohan creature out and getting us off world. So that's going to be something interesting down the line here. We have that conversation, and I think a guy comes to me and he kind of brings me some clothes because I was basically still in like a medical pair of pants, and I don't even think I had a shirt on or anything like that, but I was just getting some food. He does that, and I say, okay. I was like, I got to go meet with Ali, as like the second Azuru, who is High Castle. And if someone was like right now, and I was like, lesson number one, Saya, is you don't keep second Azurus waiting. Like if they say there's a meeting when it suits your time, you go as soon as possible. Like, out there teaching life lessons of don't keep a second Azurus waiting. Who knows? Whenever their tempers might flare or something like that, and they decide to kill you and everyone you love. We can't be having that. So I leave Opal with Mira for the two of them to maybe hash things out. Kind of ask them both if they're gonna be okay, and they said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." And Sai's like, was like, "Don't leave me here." So I was like, "Yeah, Sai, you're coming too." So we make our way to the meeting with Ali and with Pan, and Pan gets to catch up with me a little bit. Was it Pan? So now I'm worried it was Pan was at that luncheon instead of Saya, but I'm pretty sure it was Saya. But we'll hit like the major notes. There might be some smaller details that were left out because it's been a while since the recap, and freaking kept getting busy and busy and busy, and then putting it off and off, and look at those abysmal notes. So terrible. Yeah, so we meet with Pan, and Ali kind of explains the situation, which I had explained before to you guys, like the Hawk Clan, the Premier thing, the Helix, like what's going on, Nairobi's empire, the war that's kind of starting, all that all the big notes that is familiar, I think, at this point. And kind of what she's offering. She's like, you come back with us. She says you learn about your heritage, you learn about the Helix, and when you find yourself, when we find, when you kind of like reach the end of that training, you're welcome to do what you want. If you want to come back, come back. If you want to join on their side, you can join on their side. However you want to do it. And Pan says that she does want to go, which that was something we had already discussed before. Pan said she was going, so I was like, that's fine with me. Like, it sucks to lose like one of the squad and everything like that, because we need all the help she get. Like Pan, like, in the Emrys school of untalented and ungifted youngsters, like Pan was the shining star in that. Like, she actually had talent and gifts and everything, whereas the other two as Saiyans have a long way to go. Now they're talented in different ways and everything like that, but yeah, like Pan's just a talented Saiyan, and yeah, and the fact that this Helix is so everything, uh, she's gonna be one of those people like. Uh, she's gonna be one of Saya's like close friends when Saya's everything out there and being the main character. Like, she's gonna be like that powerful character that's Saya's good friend but doesn't always get involved in the fights. Like, she's like Thor to the Avengers or something like that. Is how I'm gonna liken Pan to the situation. Um, there is the decisions made, the discussion is had, and oh, there's something I had left out as to earlier is when I had talked to Haikaru is I need to go and I need to present myself before the different mercenary guild leaders and basically lay out what happened and see if I'm gonna be put on trial or something like that for unleashing the Lobo Hulk. And I was like, I already told you what happened. I was like, but I can go do it. I was like, that's not a problem. I was like, I feel like that's kind of, you know, hopefully we're gonna clear the air here and clean up any misconceptions as to what's going on, because like it wasn't me. Now, something I didn't think about at the time was it was my family though, because it was Mira, which made sense as to why Dakawan was so upset with her. Is like she would like I was the unfortunate thing. I was the unfortunate like catalyst that just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But the reality was like Mira and her people had pursued the person who unleashed it to what was the Hegel? I think it was Hegel. That system, and that's where like she basically as a result of not being able to capture her or corner her, she unleashed that thing to provide some more space for her, or for no, I mean her. I think it's a her for her escape, but she's an unknown figure. Yeah, so Pan, we kind of get together for one last sit together, and everything like that. Um, and Pan says her goodbyes, some more emotional than others, some very emotional with Rohan and everything like that. Cyan are off to the side, and Saya's being a little nosy like she is. But yeah, they have their sweet goodbye and everything like that, and like Emrys is like, she's Pan taken to calling Emrys master and everything like that, because like Emrys is gifted, and he also kind of took her under her wing, helped her with training and everything like that, definitely made her stronger than she was by just like the standard military kind of thing, because she had basically I guess like it's more you have people either at or around your level or above your level, but they're training you with a lot of people, whereas like the stuff Emrys gave was more one-on-one. And he also was teaching her a little bit more about the like, because she viewed combat like on a macro scale, whereas like Emrys gave her the experience of fighting on a smaller scale, like where you're a small squad of people, less so relying on the large formation and more so like understanding your opponents. So like there was definitely some good experience, and she got some real world experience out of it from the little quest that they went on. But Emrys and Pan said their temporary farewells, and like he said he's gonna miss her, and it's like it was nice having her around. Hopefully this is only temporary kind of thing. Yeah, so that kind of wrapped that. I went to talk with Dakawan as well, and oh, that was something that I mentioned. Like Ali said that she would accompany me to the trial. To like, I was like, she's like, is it gonna be like for a show force? And I was like, no, I think it's gonna be more. to corroborate my story, it ends up being a show of force as a spoiler. But fast forward to Dakawan, kind of catching up with me, seeing how I'm doing, uh, catching up with what's going on, tell him I solved the murders, explain to him the originator faction, just all the stuff that I've been in, and he is, as he usually tends to be, like kind of surprised or impressed with me, like, uh, I am his younger brother and everything like that, and it's like somehow, uh, it's like, I don't want to say overshadowed him, because I didn't, because like he went out there and he and his squad took down the second of Zuru, whereas like their opponent was definitely more challenging, whereas the thing that I was involved in had such a much wider scope to it. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like the craziness that's going on. And I talked a little bit about Mira. It's like, yeah, listen, I understand kind of what's going on there. I was like, but it's like she's still family, and like let's not break that apart, kind of thing. Um, he says he's basically gonna accompany me to the trial, because it's like it's definitely been made like a family matter at that point. Like it's not like I'm gonna be up there speaking or anything, and yeah, we kind of catch up. Definitely some lighthearted moments to the two of us, because like we have like that brotherly bond going on. I feel like very much, and Everest like very much. Everest like looks up to him, and like kind of I think he hit him with like there was one point in the story as it was unfolding. It's like I had to think to myself, like, what would Dakawan do in this situation? And he's like, maybe you need to start thinking what would Everest do? And I was like, yeah, I was like, I usually think that. I was like, but sometimes I need a better solution than that. And you've got like, he has a very different perspective on things. Like, he kind of toes the family line, is the military son, and leads the forces and everything like that. It's like that thinking that way sometimes is a better way than the person who owns the forging business, who's just out there like looking to not coast his way through life, but get out there on adventures and stuff like that. And it's like this was much more than an adventure. It was a international catastrophe, I guess, in a sense. So yeah, maybe not thinking like Amorous would be the best course of action for that, which is why he kind of leaned on that. But yeah, the two of them had like a nice moment together. We get down to the planet, back to Hegel, and that's where I like learned Bashiro is second command to Ali, and then there's like Kotal, I think, is the second O dragon guy, who's the second Jiragana, and then I meet up with these people named General Winnigan, Nomura, and Vissen, and I think those are the other mercenary leaders, and along with Hikaru. I think I might be missing one. I might be, but they go like to determine like what happened and everything like that, and I gotta say something, and Dakawan's just like, no, like I got this, like I gotta speak this. Dakawan is not a negotiator. Like, good lord, he's out there puffing his chest out and like representing the family and like talking big as a three to like these 4 second or two, or like these 3 or 4 second zeros, including Hikaru. Now we have Ali with us, and we have I can't remember if Bashiro was there, but Kowoto I think was definitely there. I think the three of them were. So we brought like three. So we ended up bringing 3 second zeros with us. So it's like we have 1 3, 1 2, and then 3 4s or 3 4s with us. I want to say maybe 2 4s versus like their 4 4s. I think is what it amounted to. But it's not like for combat or anything like that. And like the one guy, like he's getting irritated. It's like, is this a show of force? It's like you bring these people here to like threaten us, And I'm just like, no, no. And Dakawan keeps stopping me from talking and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, like at some point, like Emrys would default this to his older brother, but they basically talk some trash on Dakawan, like trying to say he's talking big after coming out that victory of killing that pirate lord, and like the one guy said like that he actually wanted to do it, but it's just like, this is different because you don't have like tens of thousands of people like fighting by your side and like all this other stuff. And Dakawang basically comes out that he's speaking for Makoto, for the family, and like the mercenary guilds are given like all this stuff, like rights to mining things. Like it's a not just a quality of life upgrade, but it makes them, those resources make them more significant within not just the system, but like within the empire, and they have like rights to it, and they dicker, what is it called? I don't say barter. They go back and forth with like some of the time frames. Like it's like Dakwan promised them 3 years mineral rights to like all this kind of stuff. So you can basically do all the mining you can do in 3 years on like these different worlds in like 10 years, and then like they settle in 5 years. I think is what it amounts to. And this is all this kind of stuff. I think like there's some contracts they worked out and everything like that. And all Emrys is sitting there thinking like, we've literally been over this before with Rohan. Is like, there's a better way to do business. It's just like it's all internal dialogue at this point, because like I'm basically just forced to watch. I'm not forced to watch. I could have spoke up, but Emrys as a character would have like all right, like if this is your show, Dakawan, like, and you're gonna get me out of this, I feel like I could have come down here, brought like a case of the good stuff. We could have sat around, poured some drinks and said, "Listen, guys, here's what happened." Because none of that even got like talked about too much. Like, yeah, they taught, it was more like intel sharing as to what it was, but like it wasn't like, it was less so about like blame and everything, and more so because they got compensation for the destruction that was wrought. Um, I'm assuming it's costing the family something just by the amount of rights and stuff that we gave up for it. But like, Everest's thought was, you approached this all wrong. You came down here with your chest puffed up like you're the head of the family. When in reality, like, if you let me do this, I could have got you out of here with like maybe a year's worth of contracts and some new business dealings on our end. Like, it's like he went out where we basically bent over backwards and paid these people out. Gave them gave them everything because he didn't know how to oil the gears or anything like that. Like, everything he did was confrontational. It's just like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because when we get back to the ship, because it does manage to go. That was the other thing is Hikaru had come to an understanding with Ali that he would basically help out in this matter to make sure that like the truth did kind of come out, and like there was a couple people that were suspicious of it that would happen, wanted more recompense for like the destruction that occurred, everything like that. And I think like Hikaru and Ali's help managed to make this go smoother, but Dakawan did everything in his power to make it not go smooth. We get back to the ship and everything like that, and Emrys is saying his goodbye to Ali, and he's like, I don't know about you. He's like, I go about that very differently. He's like, I bring down a case of some of the good stuff I have stored in my ship. I was like, for deals and stuff like that. I was like, we sit down because we met on a beach. I was like, we sit down on the beach, pull up a table, and we talk this out. And it's like, and maybe after a couple drinks, we become better friends. And she had like, it's one of those ones. There was something that had happened earlier that I left out, because I remember I had talked about this before. Whereas like Ali and I were very much on the same page when she was talking with Pan in that meeting. Like, she was like almost word for word some of the stuff I said. Whereas almost a player, I was like, there was that like slight suspicion because like the DM had said like Mitsukaru coming out like doing like the slow clap, like, you got me, Emrys, but like actually she was like a triple cross or something like that, kind of thing. So I like, as a player, I was slightly nervous at the moment, but I was like, I almost wondered if Ali didn't like record or like kind of catch me saying some of the stuff, because we had said like almost the exact same thing, and then that's where she kind of admitted that uh, like admitted to me that she liked my way of like approaching things better as opposed to going down there and like puffing your chest out and like throwing the family name around kind of thing. And she was like, there was kind of like that mutual respect. And she paid me some compliment of like something like, I can't wait to see who you are when your hair gets a bit longer, because like I'm still a 2. I don't have like the long hair of the 3 or anything like that. But it was a very cool compliment for her to give, something that I don't think I mentioned, but it like as to a player and to the character, I think it meant a lot. Like she saw a lot more than just a warrior there. Like she saw someone who can like kind of get things done, but also like take a more reasonable approach to things. Like where it's like there's no need for that kind of hostility or animosity to exist between those two factions, the mercenaries and our family. Um, and with enough information coming out and enough some show of kindness without showing weakness, you could get some more stuff done. But we kind of had like a nice one with like that. And then she gave me something. She ended up giving me the blade of the, as they were trying to pursue the person that turned Rohan into that thing. It was something that she had left behind, and it's something tied to like ether magic, she believes. So she gave it to me to research, and I thanked her. I said I'll let her know, and I kind of invite. That was the other thing is, because this was like Everest's, I don't want to say his ascension so much, but it was like his ascension into the family like proper, as far as taking on the responsibilities that come with his name, or specifically his ties to Makoto. So a lot of what he did it in a very much Emrys fashion, but uh, nonetheless, like it was much more family oriented than it was his own personal. Because usually he's just out there on his own doing his things for Emrys and stuff like that. He's not looking to do anything that upsets the family or hurts the family, but like he might not be going out of his way to like be setting things up for the family. Like it's just kind of his own adventures. But like this is the first one where I was like, listen, I was like, I understand you've got a lot going on and everything like that, but it seems like there's a war coming, and an alliance like this, couldn't hurt. I was like, you do the things you have to do, and if you can make it back here, um, I was like, I would be happy to have you sit down with Makoto and the Tri-Blade brothers. And she like, because I had told her about a little bit about them. I guess she had heard about them too, to a certain extent. She was kind of like curious to meet them, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I can make that happen. I was like, I will make that happen. I was like, if you want to come back around, I was like, I kind of be the liaison between those two factions, um, to do it. And I think like Dagwa was obviously a little more skeptical of it, where I was just like, listen, Ali saved my life and saved the lives of a lot of people I care about. So she's good in my book, and she had like plenty of opportunities to double cross me, and hasn't double crossed me yet. Whereas everyone else in this mission has double crossed me, including my sister. So Ali gets a pass as far as that goes. So that was something like that was kind of like Emerson's. I don't want to say like ascension so much, but it was definitely more his growing up and growing into that idea that he's more tied to his family than he might have been willing to admit before. Specifically, brokering that kind of thing between like it's like Everest doesn't think about like different military factions, or like different like like exiles from the empire, like and recruiting them to join in the war, or like combining forces or anything like that, like dealing with armies, and it's like it's just that's not his wheelhouse. But like he kind of stepped up and was doing that, because I think the two of them had that kind of rapport to where he could say it's like like listen, we're not like like getting you to sign anything like that, but it's like the opportunity is there. I'm sure they would like to meet you. She seemed like she was kind of interested to meet them, and it's like we can kind of like mutually beneficial, even if like nothing comes out of it. Just like the idea of an alliance there is a good thing. So that's something to do. I told her like that I'd share what I learned with her. I think she gave me a channel to contact her on, kind of thing. So we'll continue that. And yeah, I get back. I get back. I get taken back home. I think like Dakwon ships take me the rest of the way home. I think I had another conversation with Dak one, but I think it kind of got fast forwarded to a point. Um, this is so it's it's Rohan who's now a sort of a Hulk looking person. It's Saya. Pan is no longer with us, but Opal kind of gets dropped off on my doorstep because she's got nowhere to go, and there's like this semi awkward thing of she's like I don't want to like put you out. And I was like, of course, like because they had they had been seeing each other like kind of on and off when they get a chance to, and at least for now and everything like that, like he's more than happy to like welcome her in because he's like he had Rohan and Saya, so it's like it's not like welcoming someone in would be out of his character, especially for someone he's romantically interested in. But yeah, it was like there was that kind of like she's like I don't want to say you have to, and I was like no, of course it's like. This is my home, and you're more than welcome to stay with me. I was like, I actually kind of like the idea of it, having you around more, because like we had talked about that was something we had talked about before. She kind of wanted out of the Crescent Moon, and kind of wanted to be able to do her own thing. And I was like, think of this as a platform to find your own kind of thing out there. And then I went down and I hugged the Forge, and I think Saya called me a weirdo, but. Listen, I was so far away from the Forge and the business, and it was just something I had lamented at that point where it's just like, I need to get out of these like freaking terrible missions with Super Saiyan 3s and armies and groups of people who want to kill me that or track me down and not knowing who to trust and getting constantly double crossed and triple crossed and all that kind of stuff is like, listen, just me and Kato would go out there. Some people running some illegal gyms and scamming some people, go out there, beat up some Super Saiyans, and then call it a day. Like this whole like run for your lives across the systems and everything like that. It's not for me. Ship's a little banged up, needs some repairs. So again, that's a project to do. Um, I'm trying to remember. Oh, the shop's definitely kind of messed up because they like I think they ransacked it whenever they were getting there. Like they didn't damage stuff, but like I think they were looking for information where they could find one pan or something like that. But they didn't get to the Forge or anything. They didn't mess anything up there. But I'm gonna do a once over, and that's where I was put on pause to end my final saga. It was very much like a Lord of the Rings: Return of the King wrap up thing. It was definitely wrapping up different kind of ends the story, whereas like the it's funny, it's like it worked out like I think Game of Thrones and a couple other series do that now, where it's like the episode before was definitely the big action packed one, whereas this one was definitely this one was more like the fallout, the goodbyes, the where are they now's kind of story kind of notes, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I did thoroughly enjoy it. Like I said, there's the time shift thing definitely threw me. That's coming. I'm excited for it, but also like it's like it's like you don't want to miss anything either. So it's cautiously optimistic of it. I know the DM had already reached out to me about some stuff about it, so just finally getting that recap out there.